Hello everyone, and welcome back down here to the Gamer's Den with me, your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. Sadly, today we're not continuing on with the Witches build guide yet, taking a look at their 4th level spells. I still need some more time to prep everything to make sure that I bring you at least semi-decent quality content, stuff that's going to be usable and readily accessible for most of you out there. But with that said, that does mean we get to continue on with our look at different alignments for your characters. And we come up to my most favorite one out of all 9, and that is Chaotic Good. Now, given what we've already established regarding lawful good and neutral good, I imagine most of you can pretty readily come up with an idea of what Chaotic Good sort of looks like. Chaotic Good are those outlaws with hearts of gold. Those people who are really good at heart but don't really have much regard for the law, seeing it as more of an impediment to them being able to do right by people. Now, with that said, like all alignments, chaotic good is really broad in its definition and its outlook. Chaotic good does not necessarily mean that they are chaotic stupid. They're not going to go around breaking and ignoring every single law just because they want to thumb their nose at the man, but that can also happen a little bit too. It just depends on who it is that has established the laws, really. If it's a lawful evil tyrant who is using the law to their own benefit and is constantly trying to grind people down under their boot heels, then yes, they will be more inclined to break those laws just to taunt the ruler and the established authority on a regular day-to-day basis. But at the same time, if it's a lawful good society where the laws are there genuinely in place to protect people, try to help people, and make sure everybody stays safe, healthy, happy, they may chafe a little bit against some of the rules, but they're hardly going to be going out of their way to cause trouble or draw attention to themselves. It all just depends in context. But, they will still generally see some laws as an issue, as something that gets in the way, and thus they have less use for them than the other two good alignments will. Some good examples of this would be Robin Hood. That's actually the first and one of the most foremost examples, at least most interpretations of the legends surrounding Robin Hood. Rob from the rich to give to the poor, fighting this tyrannical lord, Prince John, the phony king of England, and who overtaxed his people and flagrantly abused his position and authority, even amongst several members of the nobility. And Robin of Locksley, he rebelled against him and began robbing the different tax collectors, the sheriff, and just trying to do right by and provide for the citizens of England at that time. Other examples, I would actually say Malcolm Reynolds from Firefly really does fit the archetype for a chaotic good character. Some people might see him as more chaotic neutral, but he's only really doing awful and bad to a lot of other bad people. Like when he kicks the one dude into his engine, that man was serving Niska, a cruel, very violent overboss who had sent them out to steal a medicine shipment, and it was a medical shipment that was going towards a town full of sick people. Ultimately, they end up returning the supplies to those people, to the authorities there. The authorities were grateful enough that they were willing to just kind of look the other way because, well, even though they had just engaged in an unlawful act, they saw that they were returning the medicine because it was the right thing to do. And ultimately, even though Malcolm Reynolds is a criminal, he ultimately defaults on doing the right thing, even when it presents a problem for him, presents a challenge for him. Or like when Shepherd Book ends up getting shot in a later episode, he goes to try to collect the money, and he wants to take it with him because they're desperate for funds, living out there on the raggedy edge and the fringes of society. But ultimately, helping his friends took priority over that, and that's one of the hallmarks of chaotic good. They are genuinely motivated to try to help people even when their loyalties may be divided. Doesn't mean they're going to get it right all the time. They may make mistakes, but again, the mark of a good person is if they make a mistake or they make the wrong choice, they regret it, they agonize over it, and they feel poorly over it. Malcolm Reynolds does not give a damn about the law, particularly the Alliance, but he still cares about his people, especially his crew, and he just can't really bring himself to cause harm to a lot of other people. And we see repeatedly in the Firefly setting that the Alliance, the laws, the bureaucracy just doesn't allow for a lot of wiggle room, and there are plenty of people that abuse the ever-loving crap out of their position and the little bit of power that they do get by being part of that bureaucratic infrastructure. And that's what chaotic good rebels against, is that just crushing bureaucracy. That's what they stand against, and that is what absolutely chafes and grinds against them. Thus, they are most opposed to lawful evil archetypes, tyrannical overlords, bureaucratic administrators that just crush everybody under all the red tape. So that's what chaotic good looks like, and that's something that you should keep in mind when putting together your own character if you decide to go down the lawful good route, whether it's Pathfinder, any of the Dungeons & Dragons editions, or games like Rollmaster that nominally make a nod to different alignment types. And hell, even if your game does not specifically have alignments in it, you can still use the general alignment as an overall guide towards framing your character's moral outlook and how they interact with society. It'll go a long way towards helping, especially if you keep in mind that these are just very broad overviews. They're not meant to be hard and fast rules that you have to stay chained within the confines of, just that general guideline. And I recommend that you really make use of that and keep that in mind and try to be flexible in how you put these together. And for us DMs and storytellers, that goes double for us, especially since we're the arbitrators of the rules and we make final calls and decisions on things like, are you acting in alignment? I don't know about that. Is it something organic to the story, or is it just the player being kind of a dick and being chaotic stupid or lawful stupid or whatever stupid variety of their alignments there may be? And try to be flexible with it. If it's a story arc that the character is trying to play out through the stories that you have in play, then go with it. Be flexible about it. No need to be harsh and penalizing over it. The penalties for violating alignments never really made much sense to me in the first place anyways. So be flexible and be willing to work with your players. But with that said, I think we've wrapped it up here for now. Today was kind of a quicker episode, getting a little bit faster and more concise with these sort of things. Go me. But if you've enjoyed today's episode, then hey, why not consider going down there and clicking like there? And if you've been enjoying content overall, maybe consider subscribing and becoming a full-time member down here at the Gamers Den. And if you do, you know the drill, click the bell so that way you get notified more regularly about whenever I upload more content here. YouTube is not always the greatest about it. And if you haven't been liking the content here, well then hell, go ahead and still give me a dislike and leave your thoughts down below on how I can improve overall here. I want to make better and better content, and let me know what you would like to see in the future here at the Gamers Den. I want to try to not only do my own thing, but I want to try to be a little bit flexible myself and try to bring content that you guys want to see. With that said, I've been your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. You guys have yourselves a good night.